Well, we'll give this a go, shall we? Welcome to Jack Webb Music Club 2019 Top 50 Music Roundup Top Gear style. I'm currently driving northbound on the M1. We're going to Leeds for New Year's Eve. Spent with my mother, and I've made a playlist of all of my favourite records of this year. It's quite simple how I did it. I literally went into iTunes or Apple Music and made a smart playlist of all songs were from 2019. So added in 2019 or added in the last 12 months, and the year is 2019. So I organised it by play count. In that play count, what I did was then, if there was an album that took up a large majority, I'd pick the most listened to song, which tended to be my favourite as well. However, there is exceptions to that rule. Some Fender, I think I moved around. Wallows, I might have moved around a bit. But I've got this playlist, and what I thought I would do is just walk you through it. There's a link to it in the description on Apple Music. Hopefully Spotify as well, if I can figure that one out. And yeah, let's just go through track for track and see what we think about it. 2019, track 1. Starting with none other than Kano and the class of Deja. I mean, this is probably my favourite rap song of the year. Features none other than Ghetts and Deja, you know, two absolute UK rap veterans. And it's just, the beat on this song is so f***ing heavy. I just love it. I love absolutely every part of this song. Kano is delivering on an old OG kind of grime vibe. The beat just hits so hard. That's my favourite. I think my favourite part is the beat. It's that old school grime drum beat with this really cold kind of synth that goes all the way through it. It feels so London when you listen to it. And then you've got DE with the backing vocals, just being DE. He doesn't need to do anything else. I think that the IKEA adverts are a very odd choice for him, but it's one way to make IKEA cool as to get DE to do vocals for you. I'm kind of cool with that. And then in that second verse where it bounces between Kano and Ghetts, it's just, I love the way they go back and forth. I highly recommend going watch the music video for this if you haven't checked it out either. It's like a small movie. There's like two songs back to back, and it's all about this kid's funeral, and then they end up performing this live in a lounge. DE and Ghetts are also there. It goes from this really cinematic movie to this rave in this lounge, but it's all part of a big story, and it works really, really, really well. I absolutely love it. The next track is none other than Crowbar by Frank Carter. Spoke about this in a Music Club episode a couple of months back when it first came out. It's also my most listened to song of the year. I think I've listened to it 50 times now. It has this, it's just a really wonderful record. I love how short it is. It's got this bounce tempo. The guitar and the drums in it are so Frank Carter. You can just imagine this live. You know, I've spoken about this track so much. I highly recommend going back and watching my Music Club episode. Also, I reviewed the album like 2 days ago, so I would highly recommend going and checking that out as well. It's a great album. It's Frank Carter in it. What more do you need to speak about it? Next, we're going to a band that I haven't really spent much time listening to for years until this year, and that's Shikari and their song "Stop the Clocks." Shikari had like an amazing start to their career. They were part of the kind of the far edges of the new rave scene. They were kind of emo as well. They were pretty heavy, they were screamy, they were very rock and roll, and it was great. And it was a time when they just fit into so many different groups of people, and it was just bloody brilliant. And then they came back this year, just releasing kind of an addition track. I don't know if it was part of one of their tours or whether it was for Reading and Leeds, in which they played 5 sets across the weekend. But this record is what they opened with. Certainly at Reading on the main stage, they came out to a version of this. It's a really great kind of poppy art pop song. It's great. I am a big fan of Stop the Clocks. It's one of those songs that you just get the chorus stuck in your head and have to dance and sing to. It's very Talking Heads, actually. It's what I would be comparing it to. It's that kind of thing, which I think was where they were going with their recent album of theirs as well. So it's not kind of the same as what you're used to with Shikari, but this record is just wonderful. The next record is go back to a pop kind of feel. It's by Banks. I discovered Banks years ago. It must have been about 2012, 2013, with a song Before I Ever Met You, which I loved. She is a pop star who makes quite dark pop music. It was kind of in the same vein as The Weeknd was at the time. Yeah, it was definitely commercial and pop, but it was a bit deeper and darker. This record, I just one day had it stuck in my head and realised that it was Banks. And I think it is a welcome addition to her. I love the kind of staccato chorus. The production is brilliant. It's just big and bold and loud and bolshy. It's exactly what I want from her. Gimme by Banks. What a great record. The next record was the absolutely brilliant return of the Californian-based Swimmers. I f***ing loved that first Swimmers album. It was absolutely impeccable. Absolutely impeccable. The second album was great. I didn't listen to it enough to kind of review it this year. It wasn't my album of the year, but it was still a very, very good album. And this song in particular, you know, I think they talked at length about making records like this just for festivals in the UK where we love to sing the guitar lick, but that song is just a monster. It's a monster record. It's actually up there as one of my favourites by them. I'm really pissed off I didn't go watch them at Reading this year, but it was just too hot. Sorry, I know, I'm an Englishman. I shouldn't be able to have to put up with 32 degree heat. Do you know what I mean? 32 degree heat in British summer, it's too hot when there's not decent water or shade. 2013 was the last time that we had new music from Bombay Bicycle Club. Oh, now I loved Mr. Cheeks. I thought that was an amazing album of the year 2016, 17 I think it was. Absolutely incredible record. Absolutely loved it. So to find out that Bombay are back, which is probably Laura and I's favourite band, that are still making music anyway, Maccabees obviously aren't there anymore. So to hear that we're getting a new Bombay record was super exciting, and to find out that they're kind of going back towards their origins a bit, got a bit more indie, art poppy, that's my kind of thing. I absolutely love Eat, Sleep, Wake, Nothing But You. It's so Bombay Bicycle Club. I don't think anything more to say about that. Got tickets to him at Ali Pali. Hopefully I will see one of you guys there as well. Also, I've got to say, this is my second most listened to track of the year, because I think I listened to it on repeat for 2 days straight when it came out. What a fucking cool. I can't wait to see this live. Just, they've got such a good little thing going on as a band. Bloody love them. Come by Lost Under Heaven was one of the first tracks I listened to of the year. I remember it coming out literally, I think, first week of January, and just loving it because it was so Lost Under Heaven, and I loved that first album of theirs so fucking much. Album of the year 2016, 2015, 2016. Loved it, absolutely loved it. And this just felt big and in your face, but it felt like a nice evolution. Production solid, just a big fan. And the album itself didn't smack it as much as the first album. There were parts I really liked. There was some pacing issues with it, I think. There's a lot of slowness in the middle, which I didn't want really from them. But I think this record is a really good example of what they can do as a band. And yeah, it's just good to listen to again. Ellery's voice is like nothing else out there. More like this on the next album, please. Lost Under Heaven. We spoke about High Contrast in an episode of Music Club not so long ago. I think it was the last one I did for Reading in August. That's going to morph into something a bit different this year as a format. But this record is just so high contrast, isn't it? It's probably I think it's the only drum and bass record on this list this year, which if you would have spoken to me in about 2012, I would have gone, what on earth do you mean? But you know, it's just classic high contrast. Good jungle beats, lovely bass, sub bass, really simple vocal stabs and samples. Nothing more to say really, just a bit of an anthem. Peggy Goo and Starry No. I don't know anything else by Peggy Goo, but this record was hammered by both Zane Lowe and Annie Mac, and just is a great French disco record. The production's brilliant, vocals are amazing. I've listened to this a lot this year, and it's so defining of the characteristics of this year, I think. It kind of lends itself to the idea that we might get a bit more French house back, which is something that I find incredibly exciting, but I've been asking for that for years and that's not happened, so I won't hold my breath on that one. Peggy Goo, Starry No, belter record. I've just put out a video about Wallows and their album, Nothing Happens, and this is very clearly my favourite song on the album. It's So good. I just want to sing along. In fact, I'm gonna have to stop talking about this song. If you want to know what I think on this song, go watch the album review. It's an absolutely great record. I need to go sing along. Bye. An album that I wish I got to talk about a little bit more was that by Sundara Karma, Ophelia's Rainbow, I think it's called. Ophenia, maybe? I can't remember. Anyway, there was that's a bloody great album there. I didn't listen to it enough really to justify it being one of my albums of the year, but it's super David Bowie and experimental, a real evolution from their first album. Lauren is not a fan because she loved that first album so much, but I love some of the records on that album. This absolutely being one of them. High Estates, which has a kind of almost ravey, Prodigy-esque drum beat to it, which is quite different, but it's a really cool evolution. It feels a little bit like they've gone a little bit more MGMT. There's something a lot more electronic about this, which I find incredibly exciting. While a lot of bands are going from their more synthy roots and going a bit more rock and roll, I'm thinking Mystery Ghetts, I'm thinking Foals, it feels like they're going the other way, going a little bit more electronic, and that is a really exciting thing for me. Yeah, a really exciting thing. What a great record this is. Now, this is Dreamville, and the song is Wells Fargo, which features, oh god, so many, Buddy, a plethora of other artists. Dreamville is, I think, something to do with J. Cole. I think it's his record label, maybe. Bizarre intro with some dodgy English accents, but love the beat and the flows, and the chorus just sounds really in your face. I'd love to see this live with a load of people who also love every artist. Oh, yeah, amazing. This is proper hip hop, this record. This isn't some bullshit, this is proper hip hop. That's what I like about it. Wells Fargo by Dreamville. Amazing. It feels very Odd Future. That's what I love about it. It feels like a mixture between Odd Future and if the Jackass crew were to release a rap album. The only way I can describe it. Loads of different rappers and just la da 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 da. It's just really cool. I like it. It's a great record. A great record. We spoke about White Onions at length in the Foals album review, but it absolutely is one of the records of the year. It's f***ing brilliant. I really love it. Drum beat is amazing, and the guitar. This should have been on the second album, I think. I think that's what's the problem with the Foals project that I have, is that the first part is absolutely amazing. The second part is really good, but it's not amazing. And they should have maybe put some of their heavier numbers, or ones that lean towards a heavier number, that are on the first project, on the second project, and rocked them up a bit, and then maybe raved up some of the other ones. I don't know, I feel like they've mismatched, they've lost an opportunity there. But this record's brilliant. White Onions by Foals. Ah, incredible. Bonobo is an artist that, as a producer, I've done that for a long time. He used to make a lot of music, was incredibly influential. Somehow he had managed to make kind of genreless electronic music that was structured like a traditional song. You know, if you go back and listen to Black Sands, that album is just phenomenal. And to get this kind of halfway through the year was just lovely. I don't spend a lot of time listening to electronic music in the way that I used to. I guess I DJ less, and I don't like have pre-drinks and stuff in the same way that I used to anymore. But I love dance music and electronic music, and records like this I love. It's so technical. There's just a lot of synthesis going on, but around a very bonobo drum beat, you know, it's so cool. Records like this, I wish there was more music like this around, but this is brilliant. This is absolutely amazing. This is the kind of thing I want to be some swanky cocktail bar listening to, having a boogie. I've done a job and money for that, but you know. Back when I used to DJ a lot and produce a lot, most of it was when I was at uni, and in my third year of university, I had this promotion that I used to run. I had this module at uni called Creative Enterprise. My lecturer Nigel encouraged us to basically start a business, and that was the module. And then we'd do a presentation about it by the end of the year. And the project that mine and and my mate John Green, shout out to John Green, great taste in music, John Green has. The thing that we both did was something called Blank Canvas. And Blank Canvas was, instead of a battle of the bands, it was a battle of the brushes. I had loads of mates who were artists. So we decided to make this night where people would stand at the, rather than have a battle of the bands, people would have paint off. It was kind of rock from an idea called Secret Walls, but that was more about kind of street art graffiti. This was more abstract and fine art, I would say, but not in a wanky way. We tried to keep it as cool as we could without it being wanky, and it was a lot of fun. It was really worked really well. But what went along with it was I would curate the music and DJ. I'd get other friends to come and DJ as well, and they would DJ music that you would just kind of sit and enjoy rather than have to dance to. I mean, it was danceable as well, but it was not meant to be that. And we went from all styles, from house to kind of funk, hip hop, drum and bass, but it was all had to be very blank canvas. Hashtag blank canvas. Ibrik by Bonobo. Hashtag blank canvas. If I ever use that again, you know why. When I lived in Brisbane for a large majority of this year until the start of October in Australia, for those that haven't been following this channel throughout the year. So I lived in Brisbane for a long time, and it's a very long way away from all of my friends and family. So I took up like all sorts of exercise-based things to keep me occupied. One of them was running, and because I missed home a lot, I'd listen to Annie Mac quite a lot on repeat, because it's a good way to get in new music. She's an amazing radio DJ, and it's also a really good way to listen to what my favourite bands are doing, and also kind of feel like I'm at home. And I remember being in the middle of a really hard run, and I'm not a runner by any means, and Annie playing this song first as part of her hottest record, and I just remember going, holy shit, the Mystery Jets are going to have a big comeback, because this record is a f***ing monster. An absolute monster. You know, someone's been listening to Foals a lot, because this is so big. It sounds like Dean Richards is on guitar. It's just mad. So I'm really excited to see them. Unfortunately, they had to cancel the release of their album. One of the members fell on ill health, which is never a good thing, and I wish you a speedy recovery. So I think they're delaying it till February, March time when they're going on tour, because they want to give it their all. I'm really excited to see where this album goes. If this is the start, then yeah, well excited to see where it goes. Mystery Jet, Screwdriver, belter of a record. R&P, man. R&P by YBN Cordae and Anderson Paak. What a record this is! This just makes me want to have a f***ing beer on a Friday night with my homies. Me and the crew having beers, getting very, very drunk, and having a bit of a party. This is such a good record. This is where I wish hip hop was at the moment. I did a WTF video for YBN Namir this year, and then wrote off the entire YBN crew. And that was incorrect, because YBN Cordae shows on this record that he can actually rap, and that he actually has a good taste in beats. Oh, I wish more hip hop was like this. R&P, YBN Cordae, featuring Anderson Paak. Perfection. I wondered when this record was going to come on. M5 by Sports Team. What a year they've had. What a year. I've talked about this record before many times. It's just so good. I'm so excited to hear their debut album. They've finished recording in the studio now, so that must just be going through final post-production, and hopefully that comes out into next year. I managed to catch them live at Reading. I saw them. If you were there as well, then if I saw you, then wonderful. If I didn't, then I hope you had a wonderful time, because they were bloody brilliant. I also managed to catch them in Leeds at the Wardrobe. What a great venue that is. If you're ever in Leeds or live in Leeds, go to the Wardrobe. What a bloody great venue. Yes, this record's amazing. And they're bloody brilliant. I could have put some other records in. This one is probably my favourite from the year. It's so good. Sports Team, M5. I'm currently on the M1. There we go. poetry. 2 Years, Part 2 by Lykke Li, featuring Skrillex and Ty Dolla. Not a record that I thought I would enjoy, but 3 artists that I love individually. I really rate Ty Dolla as a vocalist. He's someone that I think is incredibly underrated, and I'm really excited to see more of. He works with really interesting people. That track in Ibrik is amazing. When he went with Major Lazer, it was amazing. I think he's great. Ty Dolla Sign's brilliant. I also love Lykke Li. I think she's just a phenomenal artist. So influential, and again, so underrated. You know, I've been following her for years. She's just bloody brilliant. And Skrillex, again, Skrillex making non-sounding Skrillex music. Well, it's a little bit. It's a little SWMRS, isn't it? But it's not yag bro step, is it? It's quite different. I've listened to this loads of times this year. I'm kind of almost bored of it, how much I've listened to actually. But it's because it's also not, you know, Two Nights Part 1 is obviously on her album from the year before. It's not a new song, so I'm a bit odd with this one, but it is a great record. Nowhere takes me back to my favourite places in Australia like listening to a record by Ocean Alley. I was going to put loads of others in here, but every other record that they've released came out not in 2019. This is the only record they released, and unfortunately it's amazing. Love this record so much, but it does make me just want to go sit on a beach somewhere, or just like a rock edge and just watch the waves. It's so wanky, but that's Australian life. Those who have been or live in Australia will completely understand me with that one. It didn't play at Reading though, and I was upset with that. I wish to see more of them going into this year. Really excited for the next album. I think it's going to be an exciting one. Gang of Youths and Ocean Alley are both releasing albums next year. And Tame Impala. What a year for Australian music. Cool. What a great record this is. Speaking of Tame Impala, what a great record Borderline was. So, this was the second song he released this year. He's released 3 in total, getting us all ready for his new album, which is due out in February, March, April, around that kind of time. Playing festival exclusive at All Points East, which makes me really, really want to go. That may be a thing. I just love Tame Impala. There's no one like him out there. I first discovered Tame Impala because I really liked his album artwork. There was a time when I would just go and download an album because I quite like the artwork. And I know they say you should never judge a book by its cover, but you know what? I remember listening to the first Tame Impala album and thinking, this sounds like psychedelic era Beatles a lot. And I think that he's evolved a lot, Kevin Parker, since then, and obviously is loved in the hip hop world. Did that record with A$AP Rocky. I don't know if that's in this list or not. It's a great record. And produced with people like Theophilus London. I'm interested to see what this next album's like, because he's said he doesn't like listening to his old music anymore because he finds it kind of a bit weird and awkward, but those albums are so good. He's such an amazing artist, prolific. It's good to have Tame Impala back, and I hope this next album is as good as the rest of his back catalogue is. This record, I mean you could probably go through this collection of music I've put out today, say you can judge my taste quite easily. I'm not one for a slow song. Every so often one comes out that is just so incredible, and Brittany Howard with Stay High has just nailed it. This is a song for a beautiful summer day. It is a winter warmer. It's for when you're happy, it's for when you're sad. Just is a phenomenal song. I've not listened to the rest of the album, but I assume that it's nothing but amazing because Alabama Shakes, she's the lead singer of Alabama Shakes. Alabama Shakes are always amazing, so I'm intrigued to see what that sounds like. It's just not something I would probably go out of my way to check out. Everyone there should. Stay High, Brittany Howard. This is top 10, top 5 best songs of the year. So, I'm not one, there's all well and good do an album of the year, and I do that, and then every so often I sleep on an album and I miss the gravitas of it. And I don't think that's, and there's classic examples of this. I don't think I discovered the Streets debut album until like 2012. I slept on Kendrick Lamar and Good Kid, Mad City, I'm not, you can't listen to everything, right? Nothing rings more true to that than the second Haim album, or Haim. I love them. I just think they're brilliant. They are Fleetwood Mac, they are Lou Reed, they are Iggy Pop, they are David Bowie, they are Vampire Weekend. They're amazing, and they're only going on an upward trajectory. I think they'll be the first all-female band to headline Reading Festival. I would love to see them headline Glastonbury one day as well. I think that fits well for them. The biggest mistake I made 2 years ago was not seeing them headline the Radio 1 stage at Reading. That was very foolish, but you know, I always make one every year. I just love the song they put out this year, Summer Girl. It's so Walk on the Wild Side by Lou Reed that it hurts, but it's just brilliant. It's just a brilliant record. I listened to it 100 million times. It's just like Britney had. It follows lovely on from Britney had, actually. Yeah, a great record. Summer Girl by Haim. Next is the return of an artist that I never like fully invested in him, and that's Tourist. Now Tourist, going back to what I was saying about Bonobo, is very blank canvas. It's his first, when he first came on the scene, it was kind of like, I knew him from lots of remixes, and then he had a couple of okay records, and then he put out his first album, and I just started to love so much that was on it. I think it was called You. It just had some amazing records. Was it We Stayed Up All Night? Is that what Tourist? Or is that Mount Kimby? Anyway, Tourist is just very, very, very good, and to hear that he's back with new stuff, I'm really excited to see where that goes. I put him in the same camp as Bonobo and Subtract, Caribou, Fortet. They have a similar kind of sound. It's not really genre defining, and I find that quite exciting, if I'm honest with you. And this record just sounds so Tourist, but it's brilliant. I have this playlist which I update regularly called Cold Music, and it's records that remind me of like standing on damp, cold, wet train platforms in dark England, and this would just fit on it perfectly. Perhaps I'll do a video about that one day. Tourist, so what a great record. So I remember being in northern Queensland on holiday with Lauren's parents, still doing WTF videos, because put out 200 videos, you don't really get to have a holiday. And I wouldn't want it. I love doing it anyway, so it's fine. And I remember going and recording this the first night that we got up there, and I was hanging out of my mind. And I just had to get this one recorded. And at the time, I was not invested in Clairo at all. Did not get it, did not really like her music. It just felt kind of boring, slow. Because she played at Reading this year, so I had to do a video about her. I didn't go check her out. Good God, do I regret that decision, because this song probably is my record of the year. And it's shocking because it's a slow record, and I'm not big on slow records. But I love the way that it goes from her vocals into that wonky guitar, and then that kind of piano sample. It's just brilliant. It's just absolutely brilliant. I think it's maybe written and produced with Rostam from Vampire Weekend, who is just a genius, and it has that kind of feel that works really well actually. And I'm just really, I just love this song so much. I absolutely love it. I just think that this is songwriting at its absolute best. I really do. I think Bags by Clairo is... The problem is that she's now got a top hit. That's, how do you top that? Yeah. I think they have a similar kind of feel to Haim, and I think that's because Rostam's involved with them quite a lot as well, so you can see why. But she's clearly, if she can put out stuff this good, then she's destined for huge things. I love this record. I love it. I remember the first time seeing Oliver Tree and a picture of him and just thinking, what the f is this? Just, you know, that haircut, those sunglasses, that coat, what is going on here? But this song just got in my head. I could not get it out. It's such a catchy record. And then I went and listened to some of his other stuff, which I think is also absolutely brilliant. Yeah, he's absolutely great. Absolutely brilliant. Oliver Tree, someone that I'm really excited to see more of in 2020. I'd quite like to maybe see him play Reading and Leeds, maybe Glastonbury, maybe some other festivals in the UK. That would be really cool. So, there's not much more to say about it. I think this record's really, really good, it's really catchy. They had an Instagram advert that looped perfectly the chorus over and over and over and over again. Oh no, it wasn't. It was like the second verse over and over and over again. And it was so irritating. But if you've not heard this record, then happy Christmas. So I first came across Permarosa a couple of years back. I'm pretty sure last year or year before we went to go see them at Reading Festival Public Stage. I really liked them. They put out a few records. I thought they were really cool. I like the name Permarosa. Has a lovely feel to it. I really rated them. And then this record came out and it was in my new music playlist and quite liked it. Added it to my library. Was showing Lauren's father some of the records that I was listening to at the moment, and got obsessed with this again because it's got a little synth section in the middle that I couldn't work out where it was taken from. And it was from... Tell Me Why by Supermode. Tell me why! That's what they sample. Well, it nicks the kind of synth line. Whether that's intentional or not, I don't know, but yeah, definitely, in my opinion, is robbed from that. I think this is a bloody great record. I really do. It's one of my favourite records of the year. And it's one that came out later on in the year as well, which is quite rare. So I followed Metronomy since they kind of released their first album. Things like tracks like The Bay I always thought were very good. It was quite remixable. There were lots of artists that were doing kind of working with the remixes. The Two Bears remix of The Bay was absolutely brilliant. I thought Love Letters was really great. They've done their sound is really different. I've never really been a big fan of like an album of theirs, but they always put out a track or two that I think is just amazing. And that's no change this year with their song Lately, which I just love. I love the synth in it. I love the drums. I love the construct of it is just brilliant. It's right up my street. It's my sound through and through, and just really great to have them back. Just I love listening to new Metronomy music, but I'm not going to go out there and pretend like I'm a super fan of theirs by any means. But I just think that some of the songs they put out are just so good, and they're very underrated as a band. I underrate them. I'm part of that problem. But this record is so good. I love the progression of it, and yeah, it's one that I can't ever skip, let's put it that way. Lately, my Metronomy. I mean, nothing gets more Friday night to me than it's about 5 o'clock on a Friday and I just want to listen to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard and smash myself a bottle of very cheap beer. That is absolutely what this song is designed for. Absolutely what this song is designed for. It's incredible. Self-immolate. Yeah, I've been a fan of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard for a few years. They're pretty psychedelic, they're pretty heavy, very, very different. Just love them. Just love them. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard are great. I'd love to see them. I think they played Reading one year, but I missed them, which is very foolish. But they release like 6 albums a year, so I'm sure they'll be back. They're always releasing new music. So this one in particular is an absolute favourite of mine. Very Motorhead. I was saying yesterday how no one is making music like Motorhead or Lemmy, and vocally sounds like Lemmy, but I think maybe King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard might be that man. More of that, please. Emotions by Purple Disco Machine is, I mean, it's called Emotions by Purple Disco Machine. What more do you need out of a song title and a song? Just so happens you get a fucking great disco record on top of it. I'm pretty sure it shares the same sample from Joe Goddard. I can't remember the name of the song. Talking about Two Bears, he's one half of the Two Bears. So does that make him a quarter? No, one half of the Two Bears makes him one of the Two Bears. Joe Goddard and Two Bears obviously have Hot Chick, but this record, I'm pretty sure it takes a sample from Joe Goddard record, I think called Lose Your Love, and it's a really great record. I love that so much, but to have this as kind of like a remix or a resample, whatever you call it, it's brilliant. I love this. As a house record of the year, it's one of my absolute favourites. I think it's just phenomenal. I've listened to it so many times because it's so real good. Yeah, nothing more to say there. Purple Disco Machine, Emotions, fantastic record. 10 years ago now, Jack Piñate released his second album called Tonight's Today. It was an album that I just fell in love with. And the track Today's Tonight is one of my favourite records I've made. It's one of those that it just reminds me of like spring in my late teens. It's such an important record, and talking about music that takes you back to places, this is one of those records that does exactly that. And then he disappeared for like 10 years. He didn't release anything forever until earlier on this year when he went on the Tony Mac show and released the record Prayer, announced he's releasing a new album. He's been away, he's produced it all himself. And I was just so happy to have him back because he's such a huge staple of a scene that was so important to me when I was a much younger gentleman. And this record, Prayer, is very cool. It's quite quirky, kind of gospel-y in that kind of way as well. It just feels really good to have Japanese back. I must listen to this record 30 times this year as well. It's very, very good. I've yet to listen to his album. Don't crash, Japanese Prayer. It's good to have him back. Wonderful. You know, we spoke about the SLP when I reviewed the album, and I felt only fair to put this song in the roundup for the year. When I first heard this song, I was listening to it. I'm recording myself listening to it. I did a video where I listened to my new music playlist and kind of just gave my gut reactions on all the new songs that I hadn't heard. And if I had heard them, then obviously I gave my reactions to my opinions on them. But my gut reaction to this was that I didn't really like it very much. And what a 180 that has done, because I absolutely love this record. This song is bloody brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Tranced by the SLP. It's just one of those that took me a long time to get into, and now I am obsessed with it. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. If you've not checked the album out, I highly recommend it. It's definitely one of my albums of the year, and this record is just one that has grown on me, and I love it, absolutely love it. Tranced by the SLP. You know, you've got to put all of the songs that I put in my Triple J Hot 100 video in my top 10, and this has to always fit in this list. But Pub Feed by the Chats just takes me straight back to Australia, and is one of the bands that I discovered this year that I just love. They're so funny, they're so good, they don't take it too seriously, and there's so many artists that do, and it's just great to have them. I really enjoy their sound. I think they're just really funny and really good and really catchy, and this song is all about going to the pub and getting a good meal, something that I feel all of us can align with, unless you're under the age of 18, in which case don't drink, kids. Pub Feed by the Chats, what a great record for the year. Easily one of the best songs on the Sam Fender album, and it has to be one of the best records of the year, and that is The Borders. I think Laura would probably say it's her favourite record of the year. Just a phenomenal song. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. If you want to go listen to more of that, I'd highly recommend going and checking out my Sam Fender album review. It came out just before this video. I'm currently editing it, so it's a bit weird to talk about it that it's not out, but obviously this is going to come out after, so it's fine. Yeah, just brilliant. Brilliant. Borders, Sam Fender, is what a year that man's had. I really hope we see more of him in 2020. I was really worried that one of these records wasn't going to feature in this top 50. I love this album. I mean, the Amazons with Future Dust by the Amazons is absolutely one of my albums of the year. It's such a phenomenally brilliant second album. I literally love it just so much. And they're amazing live. I've seen them twice this year. I saw them at Reading, I saw them at Brixton Academy, and they're both just brilliant. I really love that album, and this song 25 is probably my favourite on the album. I'm not sure, but I just felt like it fit in with this playlist really nicely. And it was a great way to kind of recognise the album. On top of that, more is there to say. Go and watch my review of Future Dust by the Amazons if you want to know more about what I thought about the album, and specifically this track. But 25 is amazing, just brilliant. You know, we talk about my favourite rap songs of the year, and I started this with Kano, Ghetts and DEE, but this record, well, it also had Ghetts in it as well. You know, Koji Radical is a rapper that I think is just a phenomenal artist. A very unique tone in his voice, one that I really, really rate. I really, really like it. I really love him, and I love this record in particular. It's just one of my favourites of the year. Shy FX back making non-drum and bass, but what he's making is ridiculous. That Ghetts verse is just insane. The production is just phenomenal. This is just an all-around anthem. Bad After We by Shy FX featuring Koji Radical and Ghetts. What a record. Catfish and the Bottlemen are a band that I've been following since their first single. I first heard the original version of Homesick on a late mics down version of a Zane Lowe show in probably 2013, maybe 2012 even, and I just fell in love with it as a record. I thought it had a real kind of epic rock, stadium rock sound to it. Bruce Springsteen sprang to mind, Britpop people like Oasis and Stereophonics. They then went on to release their first album, which was amazing. They had amazing success with their second album as well. They came back and released their much anticipated third studio album this year. I'll be honest with you, it didn't smack it as much as I wanted it to. It didn't feel like they evolved enough as a band in that time away. This felt kind of reproduced and remade. This didn't feel that unique or new. We spoke about this in kind of the reviews. I think it's really important when people kind of reinvent themselves and move with the times and carry on making stuff. This one did not feel a little bit like that enough. Also, you know, as an album, it felt a little bit like it was, I feel like it shouldn't be called Catfish and the Bottlemen. It should be Van McCann and the Bottlemen, because he owns so much of it. There's not a lot of time in the album where there's no music. That doesn't mean I didn't like it. There's just tracks that I do like, but I just think it should be better produced. And it's produced by Jackknife Lee, who's an amazing producer, so that shocks me quite a bit. But the last track on the album, Sidetrack, is just a really, really wonderful record, and it finishes in that classic Catfish and the Bottlemen style by having just a very abrupt ending. I think that works really, really well, and yeah, I had to add it to this playlist because it was featured on one of those albums that I did listen to quite a few times. Just didn't love it that much, but hey ho, you know, I still think Catfish and the Bottlemen are a great band. I just think they need to up their game for album number 4. If you need some A&R, I am here. But apart from that, yeah, this is a great record, and I love the way it abruptly ends. It follows those classic kind of first 2 albums in the same way, leaving you wanting more. Catfish and the Bottlemen, Sidetrack. About Work the Dance Floor by Georgia is one of the best indie dance pop records of the year. She is amazing. She's been selected for the BBC Sound of 2019, which I take it we start finding out the answers to tomorrow, maybe next week. Must be next week, because they're not going to start in midweek, are they? I think that she's going to have an amazing career. She reminds me so much of people like Robin and some of those really, really great electronic artists. And this song just summarises her year for me. I think everything she's put out I've really, really enjoyed. I really love that song she's got out at the moment. But in terms of a year roundup, this one had to be the one that we put in. This is About Work the Dance Floor by Georgia. What an amazing year Prosper have had. You know, they put out their first record in 2018, and I absolutely loved it. Next thing we know, they're putting out more amazing records, and they keep getting better and better and better. What a fresh sound that they bring to DJs and dance music. It's a really exciting sound. I really, really, really like them. This record, Intended, I just think has that same wonderful sound that they had before, but also then just puts in, you know, so much more as well. I think it's such a great, great record. One of the real surprises for me this year was listening to Bring Me the Horizon's latest album, a band that I've never really followed at all. but really got into on this album. And this record felt to me a little bit more like they're experimenting with more commercial sounds and more electronic sounds. This record in particular is right up my street. Super electric, epic. That's absolutely my kind of thing. This is more of an interlude-y kind of instrumental record of theirs, but I love it. Oh no, it does have vocals in it. That's a massive lie. And it's the vocals that harbour back to the last record. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, great record. I love Ouch by Bring Me the Horizon. Brilliant. You know, I'd listened to music by Sampa the Great a couple of times before. I think she's a very, very, very cool artist. Just worked with different beats. There was like a jazz influence that I thought was pretty cool and very different. Very Erykah Badu in her approach and with her earlier stuff that I listened to anyway, and that's what I got from it. This though, it's just brilliant. It's so epic and 70s, and it reminds me, it sounds like it should have been on the Jackie Brown soundtrack. It's absolutely brilliant. Final Form, Sampa the Great, definitely one of the records of the year. Another record that I'd never really listened to much before, is a group called Africa Express. My understanding is that that's something that was started up by Damon Albarn of Blur. I don't know how factual that is, but this record is one that I listened to a shed load. This one features the wonderful Mr. Jukes of Bombay Bicycle Club, also known as Jack Stedman. And this record's amazing. I just really like this. It reminds me of J Dilla era hip hop. I think it's really, really, really cool. You can't talk about 2019 without talking about Tyler the Creator. He had a complete character reinvention with that amazing blonde wig. And the record Earthquake was one that really stood out for me. The album itself, Igor wasn't one that I really loved, but I think it's a really good diversification for him, if that's a word. But Earthquake is a great kind of ballad, and I think that he's done a really good job with it. Earthquake by Tyler the Creator, definitely one of my records of the year. We spoke about Lykke Li earlier on in this episode, earlier on this video. I am a big fan of her as an artist. I think she's absolutely brilliant. And anyone that knows me long term knows that I'm a big Mark Ronson fan. So to know that he was coming back and making kind of heartbreaking dance anthems worked really well. Nothing Breaks Like a Heart was an amazing record with Miley Cyrus. Just really high quality pop music. This one feels a little more disco-y, and I think it's just brilliant. Mark Ronson and Lykke Li is a classic combination of artist and producer that should be explored more and more, in my opinion. I think they're absolutely great. Yeah, that album's brilliant, but this song in particular is just amazing. Just amazing. Sometimes in life you just need a big old bit of pop punk, and I think the Australian band Good Doogs have provided a really, really great example of how to do that tastefully. I've listened to a lot of their music this year. They're a band that I really, really, really rate. I've listened to this song a million times. It's so good. This just reminds me of being a teenager. I think they're so good. Unfortunately, I don't think they're much longed for this world, and their drummer and manager has been accused of sexual assault, and I believe that they kicked him out of the band. I don't think they've released anything since then, so whether or not they'll be able to recuperate and make something new after that, I just don't know. But for now, we've got this amazing record. Yeah, what a belter of a record. KDA is an artist that's been making absolute smashes for a couple of years. This one in particular is just one that I couldn't help but chuck on repeat all the time. From what I can tell, it samples a record from the 90s, but I could be wrong. Just a really, really, really great house record. Big old house vocals. And I think it might be the Human League that's doing the on the kind of synths there. I think the strings are a Human League record. In fact, I think this is a mashup. I think I remember reading about this. This is a mashup of two records, Human League and something Stone, which is why it's called the Human Stone. But regardless, it's a fucking great record. Love it. We've already spoken about Foals once in this video. They are, one of my favourite bands in the entire world. I just bloody love them. First track I put on was White Onions, which I think is just an amazing, amazing record. We can't talk about part 2 without talking about Black Bull. That song is a monster. An absolute monster. Definitely the heaviest thing they've put up. I think it's definitely heavier than Inhaler, but fits that kind of bill really, really nicely. What went down, that kind of stuff. Anyway, Black Bull. An artist that I discovered this year, going back to kind of Blank Canvas-esque house music is Salute. Been following Salute apparently for a few years now. I searched the other day and found some old records of his in my library. That happens every so often. I add someone and listen to them, but I don't really realise who they are until it's far too late. But Salute, and this record in particular, JTS, is one that I have hammered this year. It samples an amazing drum and bass record by Break called Slow Down, and the drum and bass version is just a monster of a drum and bass tune. It's a bit of an anthem, actually. It really showcases what break stands for. Drum breaks that are kind of awkward and a bit weird and just heavy bass lines. This one stays quite true to the musical aspects of it, but really changes the tone in a lovely way. Obviously changing it to a house record as well. This is the kind of, if this is where rave music is going, this stuff, and Prosper and Tourist, then I'm very, very, very keen to get back into dance music, because this is amazing. Everyone You Know was a band that I discovered this year through doing my Who the Fuck series. You know, they were a band that I literally knew nothing about until I did the video about them, and really, really began to enjoy. I listened to their first EPs and really enjoyed them, and then they released this single, and it's just a very clear cut, very obvious of their objective. They also did an amazing cover this year of Will We Talk? No, Play God by Sam Fender, which I'd highly recommend going and checking out. But they're two brothers, I think they're stepbrothers. They're from the satellite towns, so I think they're somewhere in Kent maybe. And I just really rate them as a duo. I think they're going to have a big year next year. Just some great records, and this is just just a lovely one I had to put in because I really loved discovering them this year. Everyone You Know and She Don't Dance. You know, I talked about this record when I did my last music club before Reading. I started doing the series Who the Fuck because last year, 2018 Reading, my girlfriend was going through the lineup and went, who the fuck is Scarlord? And we listened to him and I thought, oh, this is really quite cool. But that was the catalyst for me doing all this YouTube stuff this year. If you've just joined and you haven't been part of the stuff that I've been doing all year, I did a series of videos where I went over every single artist playing at Reading and Leeds, and it was called Who the Fuck, and it was something that took me a lot of time to go through and do. But it started because of Scarlord. And then he put this record out and I was just obsessed with it. It has this amazing Wu-Tang, Biggie, New York hip hop feel to it. Very dark, Skull Snaps drum beat, so it's not on like a trap thing. Old school hip hop, but with so much aggression. So much aggression is basically a punk record. I think that's what Scarlord does really well. He balances the two. What an amazing, amazing record. And the last track I want to talk about is by none other than Bon Iver. I have been a fan of Bon Iver since, I think Blood Bank was the EP he put out after he released Forever Ago. And he put it out and it was on some TV soundtrack, and I just became obsessed with him and the rest of his back catalogue. He is such an amazingly influential artist. The album he put out this year, I felt like it had tracks on it that were amazing, but I didn't love it as an album. But I feel that that's how I feel about most Bon Iver projects anyway. This record, Hey Ma, has to go up there as one of his absolute best. It is just so classic Bon Iver, whilst also being amazingly electronic, but not too experimental. It's just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely wonderful. Hey Ma, a Bon Iver. Right, well that is my album, my series of 2019. That's my top 50 records of this year. I'd love to know if you agree with this list, if there's some other tracks that you think deserve to be there. What was your top 5 favourite records of the year? What a year for music it has been this year. Part of that's down to, my opinion on the fact that I just spent so much time researching artists, but a lot of those artists I just talked about there didn't play Reading or Leeds, and I just enjoyed their music for enjoying their music's sake. I've loved this conversation about music this year, and I really, really want to push that even further going into 2020. There's a few more subscribers than there was this time last year. This time last year I think I was on about, 250 or something, and now there's 1750 of you, so that's growing at a lovely rate. Thanks for commenting all of this year. What an amazing year 2019 has been for music. What an amazing, amazing year, and what a hell of an achievement we have all done together by doing this. So thank you for helping me self-indulge myself with music and justify me spending so much time on talking about absolute bollocks. But yeah, anyone that's commented over the last year, I really appreciate it. And I hope that we continue to do it next year. So, but that leads me to the end of today's video and the end of the year. Hopefully in early January, we get ourselves a lovely new Reading and Leeds announcement, because then we can start doing some Who the Fucks, and we can start talking about where people are going to play and all the exciting stuff that goes alongside that. But until that happens, we'll just have to go on speculation, which I'm happy to talk about as well. Yeah, I hope you have a lovely end to your 2019 and a great 2020. Cheers. Bye.